begin, shall we? Invite us is in body and spirit or spirit and sing together Our World is One World. It's a joy and a delight to be with you on this beautiful late fall day. Welcome to NUUC Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are so happy that you are here. And in case you didn't know, my name is Reverend Dana Lightsey, and I am the minister this morning, and I want to introduce you to Janen Wright, who is our worship associate. So this is a come as you are congregation. I just love this. This is a come as you are congregation. And you are welcome here just as you are. I want to extend a special welcome to any of our visitors today, and we would love to stay connected with you, so please sign up for our communications at the main entrance if you haven't already. Here at NUUC Unitarian Universalist Congregation, we foster a beloved community that celebrates diversity, strives for peace and justice, acts mindfully for the good of the planet, and inspire spiritual growth through a free and loving search for truth and meaning. My friends, we acknowledge the ground that we walk upon. We honor the ground that we walk upon and acknowledge this land as the traditional ancestral home of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. We recognize and honor the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and vow to reconcile the deep wounds that still shape our world today. Next Sunday, we have a service that is all about the solstice. It is called Prepare for the Longest Night. Apparently, this is actually a tradition in this congregation, which I think is super cool, just saying. And so we will gather at the service and ceremonially prepare to release our inner blockages and free ourselves from negativity. We will name those negative thoughts and feelings and such, and fasten them to a wreath, which will be burned at the actual solstice gathering on December 20th. That gathering will actually be at Kathy Hartman's house, and then we'll come back here for a potluck. So join Janet Gillette and Tam Paquette as they lead us in this uplifting service that will also feature special music by Herb Orrell, a new song that he's written that is really cool, and many others joining along in that endeavor. So if you today happen to have a brief personal joy or sorrow that you would like to share in the service, but you don't want to come forward and speak into the microphone, please feel free to write your thoughts and feelings down on a piece of paper to be collected by the ushers during our offering. There is paper at the welcome table if you need it. Please take note of all the other events happening this week and this month on the calendar in your printed order of service. There's a lot happening, so. And I especially want to thank all of the people who are involved in today's service, which includes many people since the choir is singing. Yoo-hoo. So with all of that, I invite us to take a breath and to settle into our space, and to fully come present into this moment. Let's breathe together, shall we? In and release. How about one more? In and release. I have a responsive reading, and your part is, out of many, we are one. Out of many, we are one. From many lands, we gather as people, with diverse homelands, backgrounds, and experiences shaping who we are today. Out of many, we are one. Of different ages and abilities, we gather as a people, wearing different clothing, filling different roles, speaking many languages, and singing different songs. Out of many, we are one. With diverse hopes and dreams, we gather as a people, of different personality types and interests, with multiple ministries and callings. Out of many, we are one. Each carrying within us many voices, we gather as a people holding happiness alongside hurt, often in the same moment. Inside every one of us, a crowd of ideas, feelings, and questions. Out of many, we are one. Today, my friends, we come together in unity and goodwill, knowing that out of many, we are one. So come, my friends, let us worship together in our unity. I invite us to share in this unity by saying our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And in this spirit of love, I invite you to greet those around you.
Good morning. So we're going to sing a new song by Emma's Revolution today. Your part's up on the screen, and that's all you do is just peace, Salaam, Shalom over and over. But let's learn it together just so you get it in your head. Get an E major. Yeah, there we go. Slater, it's very, very difficult, I know. That's all you do. You just keep going. And then the choir is going to try to pull you in different directions. They're going to add a second part and then a third part. You just stay strong on your own part, okay? It'll be great. It'll be great. We'll be fine.
day we get to light a whole bunch of candles. So if my helpers would come forward so we can hear from different voices. Since time began, humans have been attracted to fire and blessed by fire since it provides light and warmth and cooked food. Many celebrations this time of year use fire as a powerful symbol of guidance and renewal. The lighting of candles is a tradition that is interwoven through many, many different religions. Today we'll just lift up a few and celebrate the light that we all seek is universal, right? As we honor the menorah, the Yule log, Kwanzaa, Advent, and Chalice. And we will, I'll just bring this over here so we're not in front of the candles. Yeah. Where are you going to light them? I don't even see the lighter.
Lighting the menorah is a Jewish tradition that stands as a symbol of the miraculous light that endured in times of darkness. In fact, Hanukkah is called the Festival of Lights. After the Maccabees successfully reclaimed the temple, they found only enough virtually pure light to light the menorah for one day. Miraculously, the oil burned for 8 days, allowing time to procure more. This miracle is symbolized by the 8 nights of Hanukkah and the lighting of the menorah. The central branch of the menorah represents the Sabbath, and the other branches represents the 6 days of the week. During Hanukkah, 1 candle is lit each night.
And we only lit these because we are in the middle of Hanukkah right now, and I believe these are the only ones that are lit so far. Each night we would light another one.
And the pagans celebrate the festival of Yule. In this cold winter land, winter is harsh and unforgiving. Setting the Yule log ablaze isn't only practical as an act to provide warmth, but also a sacred ritual. Lighting the Yule log symbolizes the triumph of light over darkness and good over evil. The Yule log symbolizes the shared human longing for warmth and unity. Regrettably, we don't really light the log, just candles, but
Later.
Kwanzaa was created as a way for African Americans to reconnect with their African roots, celebrate their cultural identity, and foster a sense of unity and pride. It is a week-long festival with the central ritual of lighting the menorah, which is a candle holder with 7 candles. Each candle represents a core principle that serves as a reminder of the collective community goal of building a stronger and just community.
And I lit all the candles because Kwanzaa hasn't started yet, and it's prettier that way.
Advent. Since the days of early Christianity, Advent is a time of joyful anticipation and reflection in preparation for the celebration of the birth of Jesus. The word Advent means coming or arrival. The Advent wreath is a central symbol and contains 4 candles, which represent hope, peace, joy, and love.
And we lit 3 candles because next week would be the 4th week before Christmas, and then the center candle is on Christmas Day.
And Chalice, I don't know if all of you know this, I've never celebrated it before, but it's a modern Unitarian Universalist celebration. And members light 1 candle for each of our 7 principles over the course of a week. Now we're going to need an 8-day week because we have a new principle. So that's good news, we have another day. But they just, like, the day they light the candle, they just reflect on that principle and try to enact it in a real way. So it's a really cool tradition. Maybe we'll get on top of it next year. So let's just we could light our own chalice in deference to that.
Well,
Or we're going to light
will
it later.
For the chalice.
Oh, you're right. Okay, let's take a moment then to appreciate the unity and diversity that all these flames embody. In the lighting of candles, we all invite hope, inspiration, and enlightenment into our lives. All right, so I found UUism and Buddhism in the exact same month 20 years ago last summer. Because the second time I went to the UU church, a group of Buddhists came and spoke to us. So for years, I went to meditation Sunday mornings and church at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they go great together. Both of them are so distinct, but have such different gifts to give. And the meditation group that Susan and I lead here at the church has been such a huge blessing in my life. It's an open group, either Zoom Monday nights, in-person Wednesday, and everybody's invited always. A couple years ago, a member of this meditation group told us about a book that many of you might be familiar with, the Book of Joy, which is about the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu when an interviewer got them together for a week to talk about joy. It's exceptional, and so is the documentary on Netflix. If you have Netflix, they did a wonderful job. So really, there couldn't be two more different men. One was raised in a palace from the age of 2, when he was recognized to be the incarnated Dalai Lama. The other was raised poor to a family in South Africa. But the one thing they had in common was they were both joyful people, despite extreme hardship, or maybe because of extreme hardship. I don't know about you, but I've noticed that some of the most joyful people are the ones that know real suffering. When they don't have to suffer, they're joyful. So at the age of 24, the Dalai Lama lost his country of Tibet to the Chinese and fled to India, where, so he dressed like a soldier and went to India. He was exiled from his palace and country permanently. The archbishop was a poor and sickly child who had polio and cancer, yet he became one of the most prominent opponents of the South Africa apartheid system. Desmond Tutu fought for nonviolent justice against racial segregation and white minority just untiringly, both alone and with Nelson Mandela when he was let out of prison. It's a very interesting story. So over the years, in a handful of meetings, these two became fast friends. Their delight in each other is inspiring. At one point, the archbishop and the Dalai Lama were joking around, and the bishop told the Dalai Lama, "You better start acting like a holy man." And the daughter of the archbishop said that she would hate to be the third grade teacher of these two because they have a hard time getting down to business. They just are so much fun. But during the week together, the archbishop went into the Dalai Lama's holy sanctum, and the Dalai Lama took Eucharist with the bishop, touching the wine to his finger and putting it on his tongue because monks can't drink wine. Monks also can't dance, even if they have their own birthday party during this week, which the Dalai Lama had. Desmond Tutu danced. He's adorable. And throughout the video, the Dalai Lama kept reaching for the archbishop's hand when he spoke, which was so touching. And at the end, I cried when the archbishop said seriously that he admired the Dalai Lama enormously, and that maybe the Chinese, without intending to, gave the world a great gift in making him a refugee. The Dalai Lama said in turn that he looks at all people at the human level and voiced how special this friendship had been to him, knowing that this was the last time they would see each other in this life. The Dalai Lama said that maybe the bishop could arrange that they meet sometime in his heaven. But as from the Buddhist point of view, he knew that the impact of their friendship would carry on life after life after life. The Dalai Lama said very soberly while holding his friend's hand, "At the time of my death, yours will be the face I remember." How beautiful it was to see the archbishop just taking those words. So this is not so much a book of instruction on joy as proof that there is nothing so profound than recognizing the joy of the heart of our shared humanity.
That's certainly worth lighting a chalice about, is it not? Thank you, Janen. Each week, you support the work of this congregation and all the ways that we live our values in the world through your generosity. In addition to supporting this church, half of your donations go to a local nonprofit organization helping us make a difference beyond our walls. In November and December, our donations support Habitat for Humanity. From their website, it says, Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit organization that helps families build and improve places to call home. We believe affordable housing plays a critical role in strong and stable communities. I know I asked a while back how many of you have been involved, and many of you have raised your hand for having been involved with Habitat for Humanity. So thank you for all of the ways that you support Habitat in our community today. Thank you. And with that, I want to introduce our next song. I feel a little shy about this song, but because I wrote it, the choir is making it sound amazing. And it's called Light the Candle of Faith. I wrote this song when I was an elementary music teacher for my choir because they needed a song that was inspiring and meaningful, but not particularly religious, which you can't find out there as in elementary music. It's pretty hard to find. We ended up using words from the Charter of Compassion from 2008. Karen Armstrong started a movement across the world with a website for people to write on the website what they thought would help to bring peace. What words did we need to share together to write a charter of compassion? Millions of people have visited the website. Thousands and thousands of people contributed to this from all over the world. And eventually they sat down with all the contributions and put it into one charter of compassion. That set off a movement of compassionate cities and compassion being a big effort across the world. And when I was being ordained, I thought that was a good thing to have as a theme for my ordination. And I took words from the Charter of Compassion and I put them into the song, Light the Candle of Faith. So the spoken words that you will hear are from the Charter of Compassion. And this is my stole from my ordination. And if you look at it, you'll see the song is written on my stole too. So just a little bit of trivia for fun. So I wanted you to know all of that information before hearing the song. Thank you. Oh, and I want to say one other thing. Keith Arnold, Reverend Dr. Keith Arnold, was the music director at Jefferson Unitarian Church, where my ordination was, and he arranged this for choir. So I thank Keith for his arrangement.
The principle of compassion lies at the heart of all religious, ethical, and spiritual traditions, calling us always to treat all others as we wish to be treated ourselves. Compassion impels us to work tirelessly to alleviate the suffering of our fellow creatures and to honor the inviolable sanctity of every single human being, treating everybody without exception with absolute justice, equity, and respect.
We acknowledge that we have failed to live compassionately and that some have even increased the sum of human misery in the name of religion. We therefore call upon all people to restore compassion to the center of morality and religion, to return to the ancient principle that any interpretation of Scripture that breeds violence, hatred, or disdain is illegitimate.
We urgently need to make compassion a clear, luminous, and dynamic force in our polarized world. Compassion can break down political, dogmatic, ideological, and religious boundaries. Born of our deep interdependence, compassion is essential to enlightenment, to human relationships, and to fulfilled humanity. It is the path to enlightenment and indispensable to the creation of just economy and a peaceful global community.
That was beautiful. Thank you, choir. It's the best that song has ever sounded. That was really beautiful. Thank you. It's a bit of an intense experience, I must say. Well, we come together each week also to share our lives and to care for each other with compassion through all that life brings. So if you have a brief personal joy or sorrow that you would like to share, please come forward or raise your hand and I will bring you the microphone. I will also share the written comments that we collected earlier. Did we collect any comments earlier? Oh, okay, great. Thank you. So those of you online, please share your comments in the chat, and our Zoom host, Doug, will read them aloud. So, thank you. Okay, great. Oh, okay, great. I don't know what happened to our mic stand. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay, good. Sure, I'll read this one first. Okay, this is from Sue. Say your name, last name right. Pinkinson? Pinkin. That's right, sorry. Okay, good. After months of planning, making phone calls to prospective recipients, and making more phone calls, packing food supplies, we delivered bags to Blue Santa. Is that right? Blue Santa? Okay. To Blue Santa recipients. They were most grateful, and we're so thankful that we are able to help. Thank you, Sue, from Sue Pinka. And Sue and Bill live in Estes Park. So that was up in Estes Park? Fantastic. That's great. Thank you for doing that. Let's just say we hold you in our hearts. Thank you. In our hearts.
The first one is a collective one. For those, so that's a little bright, guys. Can you turn it down a little bit, please? So this is about those who are experiencing and caring for others who are in their end of life process and the passing of those neighbors, friends, and family. And it's been in our neighborhood quite a bit, so I'm holding all of my neighbors. And the space for them to grieve. One of my own is a medley, actually. I wanted to celebrate a position that I took in Thompson with Peakview Academy. And so in that celebration, I wanted to share it, but then I had to kind of hold back because the challenge that became very obvious was it is a Title I school. It's a combination of schools that have experienced in the past many, many, many behavioral issues. And as I took on that position, I kind of went into shock for a little while and felt traumatized myself. And I wasn't really sure until Friday if I was going to stay even next semester, as is true for a lot of teachers that are in that building, many good teachers. The position is one as an innovation specialist, and I have a teaching assignment of 7th grade classes. And if you think 7th grade is hard enough, add that to all the behavioral issues on top of that. They run the building, basically. The third part of the medley is that after some very emotional conversations with the admin, I'm given some freedom next semester to develop some curriculum that is better suited to my talents and to work with teachers who are more initiators. and that we're going to get rid of some of the stuff that isn't working so well. So I'm really joyful about that.
Thank you. That's sweet. We hold you in our hearts. That's wonderful. Thank
Hi, my name is Paul McCarter, and I was going to have one thing, but what happened today, I'm going to say two things. The CEO of the company I work for, Tate & Associates, is Tom Tate. He took time off to be the mayor of Anaheim for 8 years in California, and he instituted a culture of kindness throughout the city and to the schools as well. He caught the eye of the Dalai Lama, who invited him over to India to talk to him about it. This is probably around 2015, 2016, and apparently Desmond Tutu was there as well. In any case, Tom and the Dalai Lama have met at other times and have become good friends. And whenever we have meetings on Zoom in our company, Tom never, ever ceases to talk about the culture of kindness he likes to have through the company. Now, what I really came up to talk about is my wife Carolyn's memorial service, which was last month. And I want to thank everybody in this church who was part of that. I'm not going to be able to say everybody's name, but I want to thank Reverend Dana and Ryan, and I want to thank Sally for her hospitality, and Pete was on the door. And I want to thank the Zoom crew, whom I never saw, but that service went from coast to coast. And another thing which I thought was very interesting about this is that a lot of Carolyn's friends and relatives that are here, this is the first time that they were ever exposed to a Unitarian Universalist service. And I got this secondhand. I'm not sure from who at this point. I think it was my mother-in-law, but Carolyn's Uncle Sam from Minneapolis, who's in his 80s and has gone to the Lutheran Church for most of his life, made the comment, and I'm going to paraphrase this, that, you know, I've been going to this church for a long time and I don't believe a lot of the stuff they told me, but I came here and everything here was wonderful and it was so refreshing. So I just want all of you to know that you've had an impression on somebody who's been a Lutheran all his life. And to all of those who I didn't mention, thank you so much for all the help for the service. Thank you.
We hold you in our hearts, Paul. Thank you.
I'm Vicki, and I feel like I've already told most of you this because I announced it at choir and I put it on Facebook, so you know that makes it across the whole world. But our daughter left yesterday for Ecuador. She's a mountain climber, and this is her third time to go because she's never been able to get to the top of Chimborazo, and because of weather and other circumstances. So she should be doing this sometime between December 20 and 22. So if you could just, in all your other busyness with Christmas, her name's Stephanie, and I'll be reporting whether she's able to get to the top this time, but we're hoping she will.
We hold her and you in our heart. That would be stressful as a mother, I'm guessing. Yes.
My name's Karen Roper, and I have kind of a combination of joy and sorrow. The joy is that I'm going to be able to get my right knee replaced this Wednesday. The sorrow is going through the recovery process. So, yeah, I'd appreciate your thoughts and prayers. Okay.
Yes, we hold you in our hearts. May it go well and may you heal.
I'm Steve, and had a joy yesterday. Well, I mean, it's a continuing joy. The congregation is so supportive of kindness and compassion, and inspired me to spend the day yesterday at Habitat, one of the Habitat homes, hanging drywall. But it was such a joy to be working with people of similar kindness and just that environment to spend accomplishing something for good, and surrounded by those people. In particular, one of the about to be new owners doing his sweat equity so that he would be able to move in sometime in this coming spring. So we met in his home and then went over and worked on the next home. So he wasn't working on his own home at that point. And maybe the biggest, another huge part of the joy was my youngest son joined me, and that was very meaningful to both of us to do that together.
Hold you all in our hearts.
I'm Marion, and a few weeks ago I was up here and told you about my nephew-in-law who had a massive stroke. After several weeks, he finally woke up, and he's able to move his fingers and toes, and he's able to nod yes and no. And we were told that only 1% of people who have this kind of stroke survive. We don't know what his recovery will be, but so far it looks good. And my other sorrow is that my brother-in-law, was just diagnosed with Parkinson's.
I have a combo joy and sorrow for one of my housemates. She is going through a custody battle now with her abusive ex-partner, and it's a roller coaster ride to be a part of with her, signing up to be a witness and all of those things. The joys are that she finally found an attorney, the first person in the entire legal system who believes her and wants to fight for her. That's huge. CFI wants to fight for her, which is huge. And she also got a judge to approve the motion to restrict parenting time, which moves the court case from March to within the next 2 weeks. Sorrowfully, she has a CPS who's kind of out to get her, it seems. So just any thoughts and prayers towards justice and peace for this family and her two little boys who could really use it. So thanks.
I just want to lift up that we had a really fabulous time last evening. Many of you were here for our Christmas caroling event, and we went down to the apartment complex a few blocks away and sang for about an hour, I think, and came back. It was a blast. It was really fun. So thank you. What was that? It's better. That's okay. And we have somebody from.
And one on Zoom, echoing the same thing at the apartments. Nancy Amler is thanking everyone for the choral work that was done last night.
It was amazing. And I'm honored and delighted that my granddaughter Boston is here today. Yeah, and I think she's ready to go play. So, so Grandpa Steve, if you want to help her out to go play, that would be great. Yeah, I think Leonard and Cherry, are you guys doing RE back there? Okay. She's going now. So she's had enough of adults. That was pretty good for a 7-year-old. Good job, Boston. Okay. And for all of our unspoken joys and sorrows, let us take a moment of quiet to hold our own joys and sorrows, our own challenges, our dreams and hopes and wishes in our minds and hearts. Let us also hold the joys and sorrows that are unspoken and unknown of those sitting around us. We come together in community to hold each other with love and compassion, reminding ourselves that these are the most powerful forces in the universe. May we rest in stillness, the stillness that is we find within. May we turn within our hearts stillness falls. Imagine yourself, imagine all of us, say 20,000 years ago. Hunters, gatherers, life was more precarious then, and lifespans were short. We lived by the cycles of the planet. The sun gave us life, ebbing and flowing with the seasons. We were in an intimate daily relationship with the sun and the clouds and the storms and the moon and all of life around us because our lives depended on it. Even 10,000 years ago, at the beginning of agriculture, humans had to know when to plant, how to encourage plants to grow, when to harvest, and how to store their food. Staying alive was very difficult and never assumed, and death was a great mystery. Still is, for that matter. So this time of year was frightening, and it was a time of trying to stay alive until the return of the sun and the return of the thriving plants and animals. The sun wasn't so much an orb in the sky as it was a personal entity in their lives that they had a relationship with. And in pagan traditions, the sun was dying this time of year, just to be reborn again. Sound familiar? Reborn again with the coming of the new year. So everything was in relationship to all the aspects of life and its cycles. This is what gave rise to stories and rituals and beliefs about life. This is what gave rise to what we now call religion as a way to name and describe this relationship with all of life. Fire especially this time of year gave warmth and light and life. During this darkest time of year, light became a universal symbol of hope for the return of the light. With our modern day sensibilities, we Unitarian Universalists gather wisdom from many sources from all over the world to help us learn how to live our best lives, which is represented right here on this table. We recognize that none of these sources are perfect, and we appreciate our own abilities to think and reason, and are rather allergic to someone telling us what to believe. Is this true for you? Yeah, okay. Just checking. All religions and faith traditions are born out of their culture. And we live in a time and culture far different than any other time on our planet. Life is different now. There are things that we understand that we never could have understood in any other time on this planet. Like the fact that now there are 8 million people on this planet, and everyone is different, and yet we have the same needs, and we are all deeply interconnected to each other and to the earth itself, or herself, if we want to imagine a gender. No one is better than another. Yet we humans do not act this way all the time, sometimes. Humanity in general has lost touch with our relationship and our deepest respect for the earth and cycles of life. We can see many of the problems harming us and the planet, but to change them, we need to go far deep into ourselves to change our programming from within, but in a way that actually makes sense in our modern world. Nobody has been down this road before, and we get to invent it as we go. Life is still precarious, and death is still a mystery. This is still the darkest time of year, even with electricity, and it invites us, as it did our ancestors, to turn inward, to tell stories, and to reflect. Nature calls on us to be still, to rest and renew our spirits for the coming of the year. In these darkest of times, the light is still a symbol of hope and the promise of a new day. What I am describing to you now is how we Unitarian Universalists are called pluralists. You didn't know you were called a pluralist, did you? Maybe you did. Pluralism is one of our 6 shared values. Pluralism, from the statement of our new 6 shared values, states that we celebrate we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and we embrace our differences and our commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Would that statement be true for you? Just asking. We Unitarian Universalists are unique. And yet more and more, I think we speak for a growing number of people who recognize that one's truth can be different from another's, and it is still valid. We have values that we share, no matter how each of us arrives at those values. We do covenant with one another to uphold these shared values that our world so desperately needs. This is our bond with each other. From love, we agree to do our best to continue growing into our best selves and do what we can to move our world towards justice. You see, this kind of pluralism is pretty much a new thing. Due to our ability to study traditions from all over the world, that didn't used to be true, if you think about it. In fact, I would say the Transcendentalists were pioneers in this field, with Ralph Waldo Emerson, a Unitarian minister, and the Transcendentalists because they studied Hinduism, and Hinduism was a huge influence for them. In fact, they were called the Yankee Hindus. Did you know that? Isn't that cool? The old days of one religious truth and all the others are wrong. So there's one truth that is right and true, and everything else is wrong and to be condemned. That's beginning to fade, at least with a significant number of us around the world. It is especially meaningful to find common universal teachings from all these different traditions because they put their finger on an essence of being human. And one of those teachings is the golden rule: to treat others the way that you wish to be treated. Take care of one another. And as the Dalai Lama likes to say, kindness is my religion. I want to mention that the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu were also part of orchestrating and designing and writing the Charter of Compassion, just so you know. Well, this is all fine and good. But in the meantime, we have Hamas and the Israeli government causing great war and destruction. Millions of innocent people are suffering in ways that most of us honestly can't relate. In the face of hope, in the face of war, where can hope be found? I have to tell you that sometimes talking about love and compassion feels a bit flowery, and this is my cynical side coming out. It feels a bit like, yeah, well, you're just saying that, so what? So if it can't really make a difference during the most horrible, horrific times, then what value does it truly have? And we're seeing some of the most horrible, horrific times now. So how does love and compassion hold up? That's my question. We all have within us a desire for peace and prosperity and to be treated fairly. And we also have within us many different archetypes, one of which is the victim, who never feels treated fairly. You know how that feels. Not fair. And who is out for revenge, becoming a bully from the torment that is within. One compassionate way of looking at this is that this comes from trauma. We can judge it right or wrong, but that doesn't help the situation. That's the old paradigm. That has to change. Let us see that this person is hurting and is coming from trauma. This is a trauma response. With Israel and Palestine, we are witnessing generational and generation upon generation upon generation of hurting one another. This isn't about moral justification of who is right and who deserves what over another. It's about generational trauma. That's why this conflict hits a deep nerve within those who are Jewish and those who are Muslim, no matter where they live. To some degree, this conflict is buried deep in each and every one of our bones, going back to the First Crusade in 1095 CE. What Hamas managed to do was to ignite that trauma, which many have speculated was actually their intent. For they wanted to sow division rather than peace. But that situation has been waiting to blow up for quite a long time, long before I was born, long before any of us were born, really, but especially since World War II. And yet there are organizations that have been growing, combining the efforts of Israelis and Palestinians to find their way towards peace, to create friendships, to reach out and help one another, and to solve a myriad of issues. We don't hear about those very often, do we? They're pretty miraculous. There are also performing ensembles, dance troupes that are a combination of Israelis and Palestinians. orchestras that are a combination. We hear about the horrible destruction and the lives lost, and it is important that we do not turn away. But we find hope in the stories of those who do not agree with their governments, who have many of the answers that are needed, who do respect human life, and who are working to bring healing, justice, and peace to these broken, traumatized people. The performance artist Laurie Anderson once asked the composer, 20th century composer John Cage, are things getting better in the world throughout history? I'm just going to let you ponder that question. I'm sure if we opened it up, we would have a riotous conversation because many different opinions, maybe from the same person all at once. It's an interesting question to ponder. I argue with myself over this all the time. His answer was yes. And as I look across our vast history, even though I argue about this and ask myself this question a lot, I think the overall answer is yes. Yes, because people of the world who live by the golden rule, who know the power of love and justice, who are courageous in their path towards love and justice, those who are able to transcend their fear and their trauma, at least enough to have compassion for the suffering of others, those people have moved this world into a better place and healing over and over and over again. We can be those people. We say in all of our documents, that is what we are dedicated to do and who we are. And that, my friend, is where we find hope. We can be changed and we can become the change. There are people all over the planet who know that we are one. I'm reminded of a Hindu creation story that I'd like to close with. When humans had begun to thrive in the world, the gods became concerned that they had perhaps created these creatures a bit too resilient. The humans were creating language and building villages and hunting and gathering for their food. And they were not needing the gods as much as they once had. So the gods gathered to contemplate this problem and debate where to hide the secret of life, the secret to their own divinity. One minor god argued for the deepest abyss in the ocean, and another argued for the highest peak on the highest snow-covered mountain, although Vicky's daughter might find that one. A more experienced god said, no, they will find that. Hide it on the far side of the moon. Oh, I think we would have found that too. The supreme god listened to all of this advice, recognizing that the gods were becoming afraid of human intelligence and drive. Nope, this god said, I will hide it where these resourceful creatures will never look. Where? I will hide the secret to human happiness within the human heart. It is the last place they will ever look. And all the gods nodded, and it was so. This story is many thousands of years old, and yet it is still true today. To find the answers is not hard if we know where to look. So my friends, let us continue the path of looking into our hearts finding the love and compassion that have always been where the light is, to show our way forward out of the darkness. And may we continue to be the people that bring love and compassion and justice into the world. You are a light. You are a light in this world. May it continue to be so. I invite us to rise in body or spirit and sing together "My Life Flows On" in endless song. I invite you to reach out and connect with those around you. And thank you. Thank you for being part of this service. I share with you, in the spirit of interfaith, a Franciscan prayer to end poverty, but I adapted it a little. May we be blessed with discomfort. May we be blessed with discomfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that we may live deep within our hearts. That's where the secret is. May we be blessed with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that we may work for economic justice for all. May we be blessed with tears to shed for those who suffer from pain, hunger, homelessness, and rejection, so that we may reach out our hand to comfort them and turn their pain into joy. And may we be blessed with enough foolishness to believe that we can make a difference in the world, so that we can do what others claim cannot be done. My friends, let's make it so.